Are you learning English and tired of boring textbook lessons that you forget 5 minutes later? Imagine learning English through a real story that is unfolding right now and is affecting millions of people around the world. Welcome to English Highlights, the channel where English meets real global stories. And today, we're diving into a decision so serious that it could change how an entire generation grows up online. Stay with English Highlights because this story is not just about France, it is about the future of the Internet, and your English journey starts right here, right now. Late at night in France, while most people were asleep, something historic was happening inside the French National Assembly. On January 27, 2026, lawmakers stayed up late to vote on a law that could completely reshape how young people use the Internet. The room was tense. The debate had gone on for hours, and when the final numbers came in, they surprised almost everyone. 130 lawmakers voted yes, only 21 voted no. In a country where political disagreement is normal, this level of agreement sent a clear message. France was ready to take a bold step. At the center of this push stands President Emmanuel Macron, who has made child protection in the digital age a major priority. He and his supporters believe that social media platforms are not neutral tools. They argue that many apps are designed with algorithms that pull users in, keep them scrolling, and make it very hard to stop, especially for young minds that are still developing. In Macron's view, this is not just a technology issue, it is a public health issue, and that belief is what drove this law forward. The idea behind the vote was simple but powerful: to protect children from what lawmakers describe as manipulative online environments. The law aims to block access to major social media platforms for children under the age of 15, and it also expands an existing ban on mobile phones in schools. France already restricted phones in elementary and middle schools, but now high schools are included too. The goal is to create learning spaces where students can focus without constant digital distraction. But as strong as this idea sounds, it immediately raised difficult questions. How do you actually stop a child from using social media on the Internet? How do you check someone's age online without violating privacy? And how do you enforce such a rule in a world where borders are invisible online? These questions are not new. France has tried before and failed. Back in 2023, France passed a similar law requiring parental permission for children under 15 to use social media platforms. Companies were supposed to verify ages and confirm consent, but that law never truly came to life. The European Union stepped in and blocked it, arguing that France had violated EU digital rules, especially the country of origin principle, which protects companies operating across borders. So when this new vote happened, many people immediately asked the same question: will this time really be different? What made this vote even more surprising was the political unity behind it. France's government is usually deeply divided. Centrists, conservatives, and far-right lawmakers often struggle to agree on anything. Yet on this issue, many of them stood together. They shared the belief that young people in France were facing a mental health emergency, driven in part by social media, and they believed that waiting longer was no longer an option. Supporters of the law described it as drawing a clear line for society. They argued that not every online service is dangerous, and the law reflects that. Educational platforms, scientific resources, and open knowledge websites remain fully accessible to children. Wikipedia, for example, is not affected, nor are platforms designed for learning or research. This distinction shows that the government is not trying to ban the Internet itself, but rather to limit access to specific platforms they believe can harm young users. Still, the biggest challenge was never the idea itself, it was the execution. The law places full responsibility on social media companies. They must ensure that users under 15 cannot access their platforms.
But doing that online is extremely complex. Age verification sounds simple, but in reality, it is one of the hardest problems in digital policy today. Some websites already use strict age checks, especially adult content sites. They may ask users to upload a photo of a national identity card and then take a selfie to confirm the match. But this approach raises serious concerns. Sharing such sensitive documents online creates risks of hacking, data theft, and identity theft. And when artificial intelligence is used to guess a person's age from a photo, the results are often unreliable. Young users can easily trick these systems by using filters, older photos, or even someone else's image. Because of these problems, France has been exploring alternative solutions. One idea, supported at the European level, involves a new technology known as zero-knowledge proofs. This system can confirm whether a user meets an age requirement without revealing their name, birth date, or identity details. In theory, a platform would know that a user is old enough without knowing who that user is, which could offer stronger privacy protection. However, this technology is still in its early stages. It is being tested, but it is not widely available and may not be ready in time for the law to take effect. Digital rights groups remain skeptical. They warn that even well-intentioned age checks could slowly build systems of mass surveillance. Once infrastructure exists, it can be reused and expanded, and that possibility worries many people who care about online freedom. So why did lawmakers push so hard despite these challenges? The answer lies in the data and the human stories behind it. Health experts in France have been sounding alarms for years. Studies show that about half of French teenagers spend between 2 and 5 hours on their smartphone. Almost 90% of young people between 12 and 17 use the internet on their phones, and more than half actively use social media platforms. These numbers alone raised concerns, but the deeper issue was mental health. French health authorities reported that heavy social media use was linked to increased anxiety, depression, and emotional distress, especially among young girls. Online bullying, unrealistic beauty standards, and constant comparison were identified as major risk factors. Vulnerable groups, including LGBTQ youth, were found to face even higher risks. A study published in 2023 revealed that girls aged 13 to 15 who spent more than 3 hours on social media were twice as likely to report depressive symptoms. Behind these statistics are real families dealing with real pain. Several families in France have taken legal action against platforms like TikTok, claiming that harmful recommendation systems pushed their children towards destructive content. One mother described how her son's feed was filled with videos suggesting he was worthless and alone. Stories like these deeply influenced lawmakers and strengthened calls for urgent action.
Yet, not everyone agrees that social media is the main cause of mental health struggles. Some researchers argue that the relationship is far more complex and that blaming platforms alone oversimplifies the problem. They point out that social media can also provide connection, support, and safe spaces, especially for young people who feel isolated in their offline lives. These experts suggest that education, digital literacy, and emotional skills might be more effective than outright bans. France's new law attempts to respond to this debate while still taking a strong stance. Learning from its failure in 2023, lawmakers changed their legal strategy. Instead of framing the rule as a media regulation, they based it on civil contract law. Under this approach, any agreement between a social media platform and a child under 15 would be considered legally invalid. This shifts responsibility onto companies and aims to align better with European Union rules that allow stronger child protection measures. France is not acting alone. Around the world, governments are struggling with the same issue. Australia became the first country to implement a nationwide social media ban for children under 16 in December 2025. Platforms were required to block millions of accounts, but enforcement proved difficult. Teenagers quickly shared ways to bypass restrictions, and the government admitted that complete control was impossible. Yet officials defended the move, saying that setting a clear boundary still mattered. Other countries are watching closely. Denmark has announced plans to ban social media for children under 15. Norway has raised its minimum age to 15. The United Kingdom is considering similar measures, while Spain, Greece, and Malaysia are exploring their own versions. In the United States, the situation is fragmented, with different states trying different approaches. Some laws have been blocked by courts, others have faced questions about effectiveness. These varied strategies show how divided the global conversation remains. Even if France succeeds on paper, practical problems remain. Teenagers are highly skilled at using technology. Tools like virtual private networks can hide a user's location, allowing young people to appear as if they are in another country where no ban exists. France has acknowledged this risk and even discussed regulating VPN use, but that raises further concerns about privacy and internet freedom. Another unintended consequence worries experts. If major platforms are blocked, young users may move to smaller, less regulated online spaces where harmful content is harder to control, moderation is weaker, and risks may actually increase. This possibility challenges the idea that banning large platforms automatically makes the internet safer. Privacy advocates are particularly concerned about the creation of large databases containing age information. Centralized systems become attractive targets for hackers and could be misused in the future. Critics argue that once people are required to prove their age for basic online activities, anonymity and free expression may suffer. The law aims to protect children, but it could also change how everyone experiences the internet. The bill now moves to the French Senate, where further debate and amendments are expected. Its final form is not guaranteed, but its impact is already global. Governments, tech companies, and families around the world are watching closely. The law is expected to begin in September 2026 for new accounts, and by the end of that year, existing accounts belonging to children under 15 would need to be identified and removed. No matter the outcome, France has forced the world to confront difficult questions. How much responsibility should governments take in shaping digital life? Where is the line between protection and control? And how do we safeguard children without sacrificing privacy and freedom for everyone else? This debate is far from over, and its consequences will shape the future of the internet for generations. And as you follow stories like this, remember that you are not just learning news, you are building your English through real global issues. And that is exactly what English Highlights is here for. Before you go, take a moment to think. What do you believe is the biggest challenge France will face in making this law work? Will it be technology, privacy, enforcement, or something else entirely? Share your thoughts in the comments because your opinion matters and it helps others learn too. If this video helped you understand the world a little better and improve your English at the same time, please like the video, subscribe to English Highlights, and stay with us for more powerful stories, real English, and meaningful learning. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.